Dark Crisis issue 5, written by Joshua Williamson and art by Daniel St. Pierre. Now, technically, Deadly Green takes place arguably before this one, but two things. I didn't know that before I read them, so I read Dark Crisis 5 first and was annoyed at an editor's note halfway through the book said, hey, find out what happened here over in this other issue, on sale now. But two, it's definitely a side book, and Dark Crisis is the main book, so it feels weird to start with a side book. So we're going to start with Dark Crisis issue 5.
That makes sense.
My logic is unwavering. Anyway, so
I am intrigued to hear what's going on in this, because I've not read it since issue.
Oh, you have no idea, do you?
No, because I wasn't really enjoying it, and then I didn't really read anything. I've got a lot of it to catch up on, you know. And I'm like, I just don't want to. But also now I'm like, how batshit insane is this going to sound to me? Jumping back in essentially to hearing what issue 5's up to.
Well, gather round for a tale of the Great Darkness and how it has infected Deathstroke, all his lackeys, and the end of the last issue was basically him coming and infecting all of the Legion of Doom, with only Black Adam on his own fighting against everyone. Luckily for him, though, at the start of the issue, a few characters show up to like teleport him out. Led by Sideways, who can teleport, obviously. Nice to see him popping up.
Wait, they remembered Sideways exists?
Yeah, they remembered Sideways existed. I feel like this is one of those things where anyone who doesn't read as much DC is
like, who the hell is Sideways?
Yeah, they'll be like, who is this guy? They don't even name him. He's there. He says, "Holy crap!" And I know he's the one opening the portal because I know that's his power. But like, I feel like
otherwise it's just like, what's going on here?
Yeah, who's this? So yeah, him, Supergirl, Aqualad, and Mr. Terrific. Well, I guess it's Aquaman now. Sorry, he's been promoted. But they get Black Adam back to the Hall of Justice, where Nightwing's waiting with the others, and so on and so on. But Nightwing's like, yeah, we have to take the fight to him. We get the big typical Crisis page of Pariah looking at all of these infinite Earths all in a row, usual shit, because he's rebirthing the multiverse, yada yada yada. But the big things here is that he's got all of these Justice League members in their own little world, and that's helping him fuel his new multiverse. But Barry and Hal have been traveling between the worlds and are trying to wake up the other Justice Leaguers, which is kind of where we pick up here with them arriving on what the book is calling Earth Batman, which made me chuckle because I thought, oh, Matt will love that. Earth Batman.
That's Matt's favorite Earth.
Yeah, so they're fighting Bruce and they're trying to like snap him out of it and, hey, Bruce, it's us and this is not real, like, remember who you are, kind of thing. And Bruce is fighting Barry. Hal realizes that he does have his ring. He thought he didn't, but it was just kind of covered again by the fakeness of all this. He can feel it, he can sense it through his willpower. So what he's wearing fades away and he has the green outfit. And to wake up Bruce, he shows him the Bat family with a construct, and like here's Dick, Babs, Steph, Cass, Tim, so on and so on, and that wakes him up, and he's like, okay, well, we have to do this, we have to do something, and the heroes on Earth will try to gather everyone we can. Gar wakes up, he's missing an eye now, he's got an eye patch, he's looking pretty tough.
And more and more like Deathstroke.
Yeah, the JSA are going off to try and handle the multiverse side of things, whilst Dick and the Titans are going to stand their ground and try and fight Deathstroke and his army on Earth. That's when Superman, John that is, and Swamp Thing and Raven show up. Now how they do this is explained in the side book, but they show up with the original controller for, like, Pariah's controller for the original Crisis, what you used to set all that off. And the thing they find out here is that the Great Darkness isn't corrupting everything. I mean, it's infecting people and taking over, but what's actually happening is that Pariah, and by extension, humans are the ones corrupting the Great Darkness. The Great Darkness is acting up because there's a bad influence in it, rather than because the Great Darkness is always going to exist. But so that's the angle we're looking at it from now. And the Pariah's at the center of all that. So yeah, but there's a bunch of interesting characters. Damien goes off and grabs Dr. Light to go do something, which I thought it was a bit awkward being on the same page as the other editor's note, but it's like, hey, go follow what Damien's doing in this other one shot that's coming out soon. To his credit,
there's always a one shot to explain things. Don't worry about it.
To his credit, I don't think this book's actually been that bad with like tons of, because it's mostly just been those Justice League one shots that they've not had to reference in the main book. This is just happens to be that the one page has 2 editor's notes, 2 other one shots, one of which is out this week, one is out soon. So it feels a bit much on one page, but it's not been too bad with that overall. But yeah, Deathstroke and his army show up outside the Hall of Justice, and the team go out to fight him. And Black Adam's like saying, "Oh, you're just children, you're just sidekicks. You're not a Justice League." And then Dick has a sort of badass moment where he says, "We never were." And then you get a full 2-page spread of him saying, "We are the Titans," and like the big, group shot of everyone, which includes obviously the Titans that you'd expect with them, but also Supergirl, also John, some other characters who are there like Billy Beetle and some of the speedsters and stuff like that. So it's kind of like, all the legacy characters who are on Earth right now teaming up to take on this army, which is kind of neat. Meanwhile, on the Earths in the fake multiverse that Pariah's brewing, Batman, Hal, and Barry, along now with Wonder Woman, who they've went to get, because the last scene kind of implied, oh, we need someone who can help us like snap people out of this quicker, and Wonder Woman's got the lasso, so it stands to reason that might actually speed the process up a little bit. But when they get there, they're actually surprised to find that Clark already kind of knows. He already kind of suspects that this world's a lie, and he's been studying it and trying to understand it. He basically compares it to being lucid in a dream, and then he kind of like makes the reality fade away on his own. And he kind of looks like a, I don't know, cosmic Superman. It looks like he's made of stars when this is all done. And he's like, let's go get our friends and break out of this. So the book started with like an image of like the Grant Morrison multiversity kind of map.
Yes,
that was the first panel, effectively. So here you see it kind of breaking apart, and the Justice League come out, and Pariah's like, no, this isn't what I wanted. This isn't supposed to be happening. The Justice League are all together again, including some of the ones that we didn't see before, like Arthur's there, Ollie, Dinah, and he's all pissed. He's like, you're going to be erased. This is, it's all building up to this cliffhanger where Pariah's saying he needed more heroes. He needs more heroes now because he's fueling this multiverse off the heroes. And then they all realize, shit, he's probably talking about Earth. He's talking about Earth Prime. So just as he's saying that, the big ending on Earth is that the reinforcements for Deathstroke's army get there, which is all of the other ones being controlled by the Great Darkness. So Dick and the Titans are staring down a full-page spread of Doomsday, Darkseid, Necron, everyone, every villain.
What the hell is going on in this book?
That's not actually weird. This feels well set up. You've just skipped. You've just
yeah. That's what I mean. But jumping in at this point, that sounds like out of nowhere. Like for me, I'm like, what? That's why I'm like, what's going on?
Well, I mean, right from the start of the story, like these villains have been. I mean, even before the event itself, we were building up to it. Like that Darkseid and these others villains were being taken over by the darkness, which was then linked to Pariah. So this isn't out of nowhere in the story. This was.
No, I wasn't saying it was. Yeah.
So that's your big final page. Is that the Titans are about to be overwhelmed on Earth with every big DC villain basically. And the Justice League are going to have to try and get back to help. So we've got 2 issues left, I think, of this now. So, we're building up to a big fight. And, I've been digging this quite a bit. I think it's a really entertaining event. I don't think it's particularly, as important or as deep as some of the bigger ones that have maybe had more of a lasting appeal. But I'm having a good time. I like how the legacy characters are still feeling elevated. I actually kind of appreciate like Dick turning around and saying, no, we're not a Justice League, we're the goddamn Titans. We're still the Titans. It doesn't matter if we're the ones that are now running the show. We're still Titans. We don't have to take that name for for it to mean something. I kind of appreciate that. Sampier's art is been pretty consistent. It really pays off, especially in the big spreads. Whenever you get the big group shot, it looks really good, really detailed. I appreciate the fact that it's very easy to separate when you're in one of the multiverse worlds. So every time you go to a page where you're on one of them, even though they're all vastly different, they're all not Earth. They're all very clearly right away not Earth, whether that's through the color palette or just the wacky locales or whatever it is. So that's always really appreciated. It does suffer from some things that these event books do, is particularly in the art, where while some of the spreads look fantastic, there's so many pages with so many characters like talking or just in the background whilst there's other characters having conversation. Inherently, there's always low quality like side characters just standing around. Like it can never be completely consistent through all the way out. It's just one of the evils of having to do a book like this where you've got everyone in it.
It is. The only way around it is you get Gary Frank to do it on a Doomsday Clock schedule.
Yeah, it gives them
basically
2 to 3 months per issue. Yeah, that's how you do it. Which, to be fair, did pay off. It looked great.
It does. In the long run, looks amazing. Makes for a nice collected individual story. But in terms of how event comics have to function and how things need to react to it, well, we saw how there was no reaction to Doomsday Clock in the end because of that.
Yeah, I mean, I think, if I was to critique the story at this point, like, I really like the legacy element of it, and I'm all for the Justice League coming in to like help this big fight going up. I will say the Justice League themselves, like being trapped in these worlds, it did feel maybe a little quick and easy to get them out of it. We kind of built up to this a couple issues ago with Barry remembering who he was, and then like him going looking for the other Justice League members, and that was all fine. And I didn't really want like tons of issues of him like encountering them one by one. I think what's weird about it is that they've went for this thing in the middle where we saw them go to get Batman, and we sort of show them breaking him out of it, and kind of like skipping ahead and sort of showing how easy it's going to be for the rest of them from that point on. I almost think that's a detriment in a way, because I think if you just had Barry go off and then have a big return moment and have it sort of build up kind of in, like, without really seeing it, so that it just was like, oh hey, like the Justice League are about to come back, and have your big 2-page spread, I think that would have almost maybe worked a little bit better, because it felt like, okay, it's just something that's happening off panel, and we just trust that our primary Justice League characters are doing this on their own. And we can maybe do a little bit of it in the one shots that are running alongside it.
I'm almost surprised that wasn't like a theme of the one shots.
Yeah. No, I think the one shots, from what I read, because I read a couple of them, it was basically just like, here they are in their world, and like the illusion they're in kind of thing, rather than like there being the story of them realizing it necessarily.
Yeah, see that, like if it was me, I probably would have done 1 or 2 at the start that was like that, and then break format and have it be the escaping the world essentially. Yeah,
if they wanted to do it that way, that'd be fine. But I think there's the two extremes where you believe it all be kind of in the background, and you have it just be like, oh, like in the background, Batman's been concocting this plan, and now we're going to see it struck, and it's like, yeah, Batman had a plan, bitches. Like, you have it feel like that sort of moment, but for the entire Justice League, or you sort of make it feel harder and tougher, and make it feel more like a real journey to get to that point. This is kind of in between, and as a result, it feels kind of like the worst of both worlds, because it's kind of rushed, so you just get like a little bit of it, and then it skips, and it's like, okay, but they're already out. So it just feels a bit too easy, I guess, is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So, but, I think we brought up Doomsday Clock a couple of times. Doomsday Clock felt like this special thing I was excited to read every time. Dark Races has never reached that. Dark Races is not even close to that in terms of like anticipation. But it's been a very enjoyable event to read. If you like your typical event, your typical crisis event with all these ideas being thrown together and referencing the history of the crises, which some DC fans are sick of, and some still get a kick out of it. But I think whether or not you're into it kind of largely just depends on your tolerance for that at this point. But I think it's done solidly enough in its craft. Like, I don't think there's anything necessarily wrong with the writing too much. And certainly the art is of a very, very solid level throughout. But barring, of course, the millions of characters that have to get drawn, and therefore obviously some in the background and smaller panels and things like that suffer. But that's just how it is. But that's good. Dark Race issue 5, I will probably give that just an 8. Just a nice solid 8. I think it's enjoyable. I think it's good junk food event fare. But, don't have your expectations too high either.